Call to order, City of Hudson Park Board meeting Tuesday, July 11th, 2023. And roll call as follows. Ton Bunce, Tori Boonsma,
Here.
Karen Nesset,
Here.
Don Buchholz, I'm here. Mike Kennedy,
Here.
Pam Brokaw.
Here.
Calling for the approval of minutes, discussion possible of May 2nd, 2023 Park Board meeting. Any discussion?
Move to approve.
Second.
So moved and seconded. Approved. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Approved. Okay. So we have with us some citizens present to make some presentations, and we have Mark Garrity and Susan. Your last name, Susan?
Susan Heiser.
Heiser. And if you could come to the podium.
Okay.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you. I was asked to make this quick, and my first thought was to start talking like the guy from the old FedEx commercial. So, last time I appeared in front of the Park Board was approximately 20 months ago on this project. Came in and with a proposal that we had been in front of the county board about this trestle project that Susan and I have been working on for, it'll be 5 years in January. And at that time, we came here to ask permission to submit to the City Council a request to be involved with the National Park Service through the Rivers Trails Conservancy Assistance Program. And they facilitate bringing parties together for the purpose of coming up with a concept. We have been working since, it'll be 1 year tomorrow. It was our first meeting with the RTCA people. So as a background of that, I provided you with those maps just for reference purposes. That we have talked about this as the Trestle Project. And as one would expect, once you get into it, things have evolved and developed into some different concepts. And so I'm not here to tell you tonight what you should do or what you need to do. It's a matter of I want to bring you up to speed. We have Pat is a member of the committee, has been an active member, but to bring you up to speed as to what we have been doing and the concepts that have come out of this. So from the standpoint of looking at that, at the present time, those involved in the project, and I'll make this quick, St. Croix County through the Department of Community Development, City of Hudson, and Sarah Bruck and Pat are both on the committee. And we have Town of Troy, that Paul McGinnis and Christine McGinnis. Christine is a landscape architect who has come on, and people are offering opinions and great concepts. We also then have Scott Wagner from the Department of, the St. Croix County EDC, and as a former president of that and an officer in the corporation as their representative. And then Susan from the St. Croix Bike and Trails Coalition, and Ben Heiser, also her husband, myself. Paul McGinnis is a member of the coalition also. And then we have the Village of North Hudson with Amy Noonan and Kirk Nelson on the group, and St. Croix County, Brett Boudreau, and former Director of Parks, and hopefully he'll be replaced with someone. And did I miss anyone? Okay, so what we have done and the way that the National Park Service works, it is somewhat like a mediator. And so it's a matter of there's never a bad idea. We've put stickers on the wall, and we've come up with concepts as to how this property could be used, and without understanding what the cost will be, et cetera, but what we can do, how we would make this something to the tune of a lakefront park, or to a Berkmos Park or Ferry Landing Park with North Hudson. It's understood that the property is located in the village of North Hudson. And that's where that map becomes important, because when you look at the river, and there's a reason West St. Paul, even though it's south of St. Paul, is called West St. Paul, is because it's on the west bank of the Mississippi River. And so the line that goes down the middle of the river is the demarcation between Hudson, which is on the east side, and North Hudson on the north side, or west side, excuse me. And so that's why the property that we're talking about, the Trestle property, is located in the village of North Hudson. But all the way around that, you see the various ownership. So there's village, city, and county, county, village, city, and that's throughout that whole area. The city has a piece, North Hudson has a piece. Everybody's got it's a patchwork quilt up there, and so that's where our starting is. So to look at it from the standpoint of the property, we found out approximately a year ago today that the property, after we had worked on it for 3 years, trying to work with the Union Pacific and how to acquire it, et cetera, I'm informed, we've got a valid offer. And there's the shudder of, whoa. And it turns out it's a developer from Hudson and that operates here in Hudson. And we're talking about 5+ acres, and a large part of it is on water. So it's the bridge. And so we stepped back from contacting the UP, and we continued to work our process. And everybody was told at that first meeting, this person is, I could not disclose. And again, as a former lawyer, it was a matter of, I had agreed with the lawyer involved that we would not disclose who the buyer was, so that he could go through his process and do whatever he needed to do without us interfering in any sense. I learned on the 23rd of February that he had finished and actually had closed on the property that day, and we had a meeting scheduled for the 27th of February, and at that time everyone met Bruce Lenzen, and he had purchased the property from the UP, and at that point with our meeting he really hadn't laid out what his plans were going to be for the future. We continued to do our concept work, and as we have up to this date. So to bring you also up to speed, what we have done is the committee or the coalition has secured the services of Warren White, who is actually a member of the St. Croix Falls Common Council, and is a design engineer. He just retired as a professional engineer, has been involved in designing trails throughout western Wisconsin and eastern Minnesota, as well as the Midwest. And he's very tuned in to the costs and et cetera. So we have had him come out, we walked the properties, and we have received from him a concept report. And this is only because he's not doing it as a professional engineer, he's doing it as a consultant as such. And so the numbers, we've had a few things such as to take wrinkles out of it is the best way I can describe it. And we will then have a meeting. My hope is to have a meeting with you folks as well as with the North Hudson Board, Park Board, and go through that document. But what he has done is a little different concept. He starts at lakefront, the lakefront trail, and works us in segments, and I think it's A through H, and all the way up to Summer Street. So it's segments, how this would be done. And with each segment, he lays out what the cost will be. And he used as an example with pictures in that, it's the Immigrant Trail out of up near Schaefer, Minnesota, that goes Schaefer to Taylor's Falls, right on Highway 8. And it's a beautiful bike trail. And he looked at that because there were 4 different bridges that had to be put in over ravines. And that would be a very similar thing that we have here. And he's just a great guy to work with, very common sense and down to earth. And so I look forward to being able to do that. So what we have done, and again, moving this along for concept purposes, and Susan and I are going to do the, she'll do Vanna White and I'll do the other guy. And so to let you know what we're talking about, you can take those ladies. Yep. And so this is what we have in our hands here. It's a document prepared. These were three concepts, and as it outlines, they refer to, the National Park Service refers to it as the Lake Nalu Isthmus Park concepts. And so this is concept 2, but it combines all three concepts together, so that what we're looking at is to break it down. This actually, if you're familiar with the area, the across from Corky's Landing, that is North Street. North Street goes up into the bluff there, and then that merges into Ridge Street. It goes then down, and it's a street. It doesn't look like a street, but it's a street. And don't use your good card. But anyway, what they have laid out is the whole basin. And so, and Pat has been very involved. We talked about having a pier, for instance, for kayaks, that there's been discussions about that in the past, and that may happen. So that's on the east, really the southeast corner of that little bay that is there. But running through, they work up the parking area onto the property, which would be on the west side. It's the isthmus that goes down from the dam on the north side next to the trestle, and then bringing that down. So we have the parking area they talk about, the parking along the street there, which would be minimal. The kayak area is outlined, ball toilets, 2 medium-sized areas for hiking trails, neighborhood following the edge on the north side, the picnic areas. The picnic areas also that were outlined, 10 of those picnic spots, and that includes up on top of the overlook on North Street, and then coming down to the picnic pavilion with then a vaulting overlook, and I'm going to have to use my finger here. It's right in the middle. You would then have a view to the north looking towards the dam, and then down towards what used to be the old railroad station to the south. And then wildlife viewing areas. There's been talk out on the trestle, making sure we have bump outs on the trestle for fishing, handicap issues, and for all the photography, specifically when the pelicans come to town the first week in April. And then the pier onto the St. Croix. That's a no-go. That was discussed. This is why this has gone back. There was a pier that they put in the concept right next to the dam, and it's like, people, you have to look at the high water. You're just not going to have that there. And then the access road coming down across, and where we came up with the concept and walking with Mr. White is that there would be a crossing we would go. The original thought was on that map, if you look at it, the active rail line that is there that's in, I believe, purple. The active rail line, there's a bridge there, and that bridge dates back to about 1900, and it's all stone arch. It's a beautiful bridge, but the thought being we would go underneath that bridge and then up along the south shore and then connect up, bring us over to Lakefront Park. Problem is, Warren White said it'll be the most beautiful trail in the Twin Cities, but from an engineering standpoint, it's just too darn expensive. You'd have to put piers in, and it's just so. Backing off, and I have been making phone calls to Chicago, where the community development person is, at the Union Pacific, to talk to them about having a walkthrough to do an at-grade crossing at the top, just to the north of the utility buildings, for lack of a better term, on Division Street. And that's where the trail would cross, bring us out to 2nd Street, use the bike trail or the bike lane that is there, then onto 1st Street, and then down to connecting onto across the XL property, and then onto the Lakefront Park. And so those are concepts, and that's what we're working on right now. Okay? So again, keep on moving. So Warren White, this document, and the plan, like we said, is to get everyone together, and if possible. We've done the same presentation without a microphone up at North Hudson That was just last Thursday, and that was our second time there. Again, not telling you what to do, but this is what Kirk Nelson had said. It'd be a great idea just to let everybody know what we're working on. There'll be a time for public input. We have a meeting. I'll use this microphone, Susan, if you want to know that. We have a meeting this Thursday with Mr. Lenzen and his attorney to really sit down and lay out the concepts, what we've looked at on the property. We have no idea what the plans are. We might have been working for naught here because what we're dealing with, the right-of-way area that was purchased is 5+ acres, but it's 100 feet wide. And that's the railroad right-of-way. So it's 100 feet wide, goes all the way up to Wisconsin Street on the north, coming off the bridge. So the concepts that we've worked on, the Park Service wasn't looking at that, but that would be 100 feet between the apartments that are there, the Malibu apartments, and then the property owners, which are the East Bank condominium folks on the west side of that property. So that's all stuff that has to be worked on. And we'll know more on Thursday and be able to go from there. As far as, and again, this is just bringing you up to speed. Do you have any questions on that issue?
I'll open it for discussion and any questions.
Okay, I'm watching the clock. So,
Quick question, so
yep.
Bruce, Mr. Lenzen's property, north of the, can you spell that out for us?
Is that this purple spot? Is that this purple
Yes.
area right here?
Yes,
on
the
the
purple
map?
one on the north side.
Between the condos and the
So no,
apartment
that
buildings?
way, okay.
It's the old railroad line that the railroad quit riding through there in 1978.
Yep, okay, got it.
So, and that would be, and it's an issue of, again, it's 100 feet wide and it runs down to the bridge. And the bridge, we believe is viable. There was a dive study done in 2011 that said it was viable, the pilings were viable. But we have not done a dive study yet. And we have concepts, again, of using bridges similar to what's at Willow River State Park, over on the Gateway Trail and the Browns Creek Trail. I refer to them as erector set type bridges.
Yep.
They come in on a truck. I have skied across 3 of them up on the Birkebeiner Trail, where they literally brought it in on 2 semis. It crosses Highway 77. It's quite elevated, and we don't have to go down and cross and close the highways anymore to ski through there. So that's that. And I met with, and I believe it was the end of April because the floods were still coming, was with the 2 Mikes, Mr. Johnson and Mr. Mraz, and the new engineer, Aaron, to lay out, again, exactly what we're talking about. And I made reference at that time that we were having a conference on the 11th of May, a tourism conference that we had invited many of the city people in North Hudson and Hudson, the entire county and Pierce County. At that conference, and I'll leave this with Mike, the reason it was so important, we had the director of outdoor recreation there speaking about what tourism actually means and the economic impact of tourism to the region. And the numbers are phenomenal. But what's really important, and I'm leaving this with you, it's a 6-page document. These are the references where to get funding. So be it through the bipartisan infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, whatever you want to call it, whatever anagram it would have, this is here, and we have it on the website for the coalition also. Lastly, I mentioned, and I provided Mike with a copy of this, we have a bike lane on Highway 35 in Hudson. It's 4 blocks long, and it goes from River Street up to Corky's Landing, right at the driveway there. And it's great. So it's on both sides of the road, and it was out of necessity to do that because of that bridge that's there, and when the reconstruction was done of Highway 35. I have approached the park board in North Hudson asking for the same paint to run from the North Hudson Bridge, the north side of the bridge on the Malibu, all the way up to Cratley Lane. I've talked to the state. The state said you got to talk to the village. And so I've asked them to consider it, and I will go back and talk to Public Works about that. But what I'm asking you folks to do is to talk to North Hudson because, and I will leave this again, and copies can be made, for what are called lane delineators. And these are, I'll walk around after I talk. These are to be installed, and you see them in Madison, you see them in various cities, that would separate the lane on the Malibu Bridge. It was widened to allow for bikes, etc., but as a bicyclist, as a walker, that bridge can be really treacherous when people come flying through there, and for whatever reason, they think they can speed on that bridge. So it's a matter of these lane delineators would be installed on or about, depending on weather, April 15th, taken off, depending on weather, on November 15th. And so there's no issue in plowing, et cetera. They're there for the purpose of getting people into that lane. Then when they get to North Hudson or coming out of North Hudson, they still have it, and people are safe going across it. They're made in Madison. These are a Wisconsin product, and bicycling in Wisconsin involving tourism, manufacturing, all of the stuff, Trek, whoever it might be. Saris is the company, and they make bike racks, and Art Doyle sells their bike racks for your car, but these are lane delineators. So I'll leave this with Mike, and have those two. And Susan, did I miss anything yet? Okay. So, thank you very much. I really appreciate being here, and I hope to see you again.
Thanks for the update.
Thank you, Mark. Thanks, Susan.
So I will walk these by slowly. Those are attached to the ground.
Oh, so, I'm sorry. Is it just like a,
Yep. It's
just
a
a,
wave thing.
just a thing?
If the car hits them, they just bounce back.
Oh, I've never seen those. All right.
Okay.
Thank you. Thing.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, that's what I was thinking they were the little, like, speed bumps, like you see in Europe. You know what I mean? Like, those come out.
Can I see that? Can I see that top map a second? Is that the,
Yeah, I was gonna say, can you take a picture of
yeah.
I think, do we have these on our website? I think so.
Not on the website, but I can send it to Mike and you can pass it around.
Okay.
Yeah, we can send.
That'd be wonderful, yeah.
You could send them
Yeah, that's fine. I'll share it with the board.
These are from the county.
Just send them to Mike and then he'll share them with the board.
Yeah. All right, thank you. Thank you.
Thanks again. Now we'll move along for discussion and possible action to approve the memorial application submitted by Joni Davenport.
All right, so Public Works Office received a application for a memorial bench along the Lakefront Park Trail, the north side of the trail near the newly constructed ramp for the rowboats. Joni Klecker Davenport was the person who submitted it. She is here tonight to answer any questions you might have, but she's looking to install it close to 1105 First Street. We have, a couple other benches along that part of the trail, and I have no problem putting it up in that area, and so staff is recommending approval.
Move to approve.
So,
A second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign? Motion approved.
Okay. So Joni, what we'll do is I'll get in touch with you, and maybe if you would want to walk out on the site just to confirm the location so that you're happy with it, and we'll move forward after that. Okay. All right. Sounds good. Thank you very much.
And I'll get you that information.
Thank you, Joni.
Thanks.
Yep. So second item, item number C is adopt the Bella Rose Parkland into the outdoor recreation plan. So as part of the Bella Rose development, which was the old Atwood property on the southwest corner of Carmichael and Vine Street where the new Quick Trip was built, as part of that development, the city was given or a parcel of land was set aside for future parkland development. And whenever that happens, once the development and all the public improvements are accepted, it comes in front of the park board to formally adopt or accept that parcel of land into the outdoor recreation plan, which is kind of the first domino in the sequence of planning for that park. So the park size is 0.73 acre parcel. It is in the northwest corner of Sophia Lane and Annabelle Way. So I did attach a map in your parcel. So direct that.
Right
yep,
across from Quick Trip?
Right across from
Okay.
Quick Trip, yeah, right to the west of Quick Trip there. So staff is recommending approval or adoption of this parcel of property into the outdoor recreation plan.
I just have a question. I looked at that property today, and it's got quite a sort of marshy area. It's quite a dip. I mean, it's not flat land.
Yeah.
So I just question how you build park space there
Yeah,
with
it-
that kind of a,
It is a very small site.
yeah.
And so obviously it will be a neighborhood park. It's not going to be a regional park like we
Right.
have at White Camp or
Right.
Grandview, so on and so forth. So it kind of leads us into the next discussion with the survey results is obviously we're going to have to be very selective in what goes in there.
Yeah.
There's not going to be a lot of room for a lot of amenities. And so we'll just have to keep that in mind when we are trying to design and develop that
Yeah.
park for future use.
'Cause
Absolutely.
we wouldn't want to get into a situation where we're flattening
No.
space and
Right.
creating.
Correct, yeah, and you bring up a good point. Directly to the north of this parcel is the stormwater facility, so it really does kind of dive down, and that's why in my survey, I had, is it pertinent to maybe have an enclosure or some type of fence so the kids aren't running down in there or out onto the street, across from Quick Trip with the heavy traffic, so on and so forth. So those are things to consider when we do start planning for it. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, but we don't want to go in there and do any mass grading and disturb the stormwater capacities of that
Right.
site, because those facilities are designed and built to hold a certain amount of water based on the impervious surface in the area, so on and so forth.
Okay.
And moving along, any discussion on the Bella Rosa Park survey? Or is that-
No, so we need to make a motion.
Motion to adopt the Bella Rosa Parkland into the outdoor recreation plan. So.
I have a quick question on that. So so we're adopting it into our plan. No
Yep.
cost associated with that.
No cost.
So there's no guarantees that, there's no time clock that starts ticking that we have to develop it and,
No. So
Okay.
it's just so obviously we have our outdoor recreation plan that lists all of our public parks, right?
Yep.
And so this would be incorporated into it, and basically what we would do is we would identify the parcel, we would list all the amenities that the park board would like to see go in there in the future. And then, like you said, as monies are available, we would look to develop that park. Now, having said that, there are monies that we have park dedication fees from that development that have gone into a fund specifically for the development of parks in that area, which
Okay.
we would be able to draw from to put in some amenities right from the get-go. And that would be my intention.
Where were those monies generated from?
Those monies are generated from whenever there is a home or the, commercial property or the apartment complex that was built, they have to pay a fee,
Okay.
park dedication fee, which goes into a bank account, which we can draw from for future park development to service that area and the new people that live there.
All right. So could we
I'll move
have
to
a
it.
motion?
Yeah, I'll move to adopt the parkland into our outdoor rec plan.
May I have
I'll
a
second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion's approved.
All right, so the next item that we have, item D, would be to discuss the Bella Rose Parkland survey results. And because we do have a very planning commission meeting following this meeting at 6 o'clock, and I would expect people to start filtering in probably 1:45 because it's going to be heavily attended. We may want to consider pushing off a lengthy discussion about survey results to maybe next month so we can have an in-depth discussion. I think that would be appropriate. And I did receive several other surveys on Monday after the agenda was posted. So I'd like to maybe update the spreadsheet, maybe give a little bit more information out there to you so you can make some informed decisions as far as what we should put into that park, if that sounds okay with you.
Sounds good.
Sure.
So we'll table that till next meeting?
Yeah, I think that's appropriate.
All right.
That way, it gives those people that took the time to fill out the survey and send it back a voice in what the park looks like and get a full picture of what people are saying. So that would be my recommendation.
Okay, so it's
Move
tabled.
to table,
Yep,
okay.
yep, we'll just move that to next month's meeting, Deb.
Tabled till next week
Yep,
meeting. Okay, then
yep.
we'll take up Lakefront Baseball Park lighting.
Lakefront Park bandshell lighting, perfect timing. So city staff received a proposal from the Chamber of Commerce and Area Tourism Bureau, requesting the permanent installation of lights on the top of the bandshell in Lakefront Park. There is a photo of the bandshell during the wintertime, and what the chamber is referencing are those large kind of white lights on the top, archway. They're looking to permanently install those, and they would be able to be used throughout this. Why don't I stop talking, and I'll let Mary Claire take this from here.
Thank you so much. Mary Claire Olson Potter with the Hudson Chamber. Good evening. Thank you for your time today. Apologize, I was coming from another meeting, but so we've talked about this for a couple of years. It's been recommended by our partners, Save a Tree. If we put some permanent lighting up on the bandshell, then like during booster days, they could be colored, be like red, white, and blue. During Halloween, they could be orange and green. So it would just give us something year-round to enjoy on top of that bandshell. There is a small cost savings because we're not taking them up and taking them down every year. And then we would work with the city in terms of there's like one person that could like program them from their phone as to, if there's a different activity going on down there that we want to have them different colors throughout the year. I think it would just add more to the park. I think it could be really fun, and we would cover the cost of that. It wouldn't be a cost to the city. That would come through the funds that we raise for lights in the park,
Oh, nice.
which I'll be back for in another month or so, I guess.
So Aaron,
So would these be LED lighting that are Bluetooth enabled?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
yeah. And Aaron Reeves, the city administrator, did review this issue sheet, and he thinks it's a great idea. One caveat that he did say is when he was in Rochester, Minnesota, they had similar situation down there with permanent lighting on some of their park structures, so on and so forth. And they had designated the mayor to kind of choose, or run at least past what lights, what color they are, at what part of the season, so on and so forth. So it's one person instead of like, you have a different idea, you have a different idea, you have a different idea. So there's like one person that's kind of getting that filtered through and making the decision. So something to consider.
Could be an important,
Yeah, that's, what colors are those things going to be?
right.
So is Mr. Reeves recommending that it's the mayor that determines this?
He
or-
did, yeah.
And we already have electricity there.
Yep.
A couple new outlets is not a big deal, because that's our responsibility.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
And then the maintenance is on us as well then? Is that how, so that the chamber's installing the lights and then any maintenance going forward is the city?
Well, I mean, this part about the mayor being in control of the color of the lights is new to me too, so
Okay.
it's the first I've heard of it, so I think
Okay.
we need to just kind of talk about that. I mean, I'm hoping it can be a joint decision in terms of kind of
Okay.
based on events and activities that are taking place there. And the maintenance and so forth is in the budget, but that would be, that would probably have to come out of the lights in the park piece if there's issues that need to be addressed.
What was the process used in choosing the company, manufacturer, quality of the lighting and all that?
So we've worked with Save a Tree. This will be our 5th year that we've
Save a
partnered with
Tree.
them with
They're
lights in the
local.
park. So they're a local business, and they
So it's
do.
a time-tested, approved product that they've been using?
Yes, I mean, they do it, there's a section of their business out in Denver, and so, I mean, they do this all over.
All right.
So they're very well, and we've been very satisfied and happy with their designs and the ideas that they've come up with each year. I mean, they work within the budget that we're able to raise, and they donate a lot of time and materials to help us execute the lights in the park.
All right, thank you.
So what are the hours the lights would be on? Would it be on a timer or something, or do they align with the park hours and shut off when parks are
Sunrise,
closed?
sunset possibility for lighting?
Sunsets on, no,
Is it, I mean, will this be daily?
I assume it's
use?
all programmable, so.
It's all programmable.
That might go into this envelope of who decides colors, timing,
Right.
brightness,
Right.
all that stuff.
I wouldn't
I
want to keep
can't
them
either.
on all night long.
then the
'cause
mayor would want to do
Someone needs to.
The city is
Anything.
paying the utility bill
Right.
Yeah.
down there.
regardless.
So I think a couple pieces, yet to, hopefully if this can get approved, but a couple pieces just to kind of button up would be, how are the colors selected? What are the specific hours that they would be on? The lights in the park, they're on in the early morning, and then they turn on again at 4, and they shut off at midnight. That might be kind of the same pattern that, in the summer now, we don't need them on at 4, right? But if they were on it during booster days and they came on about 9 o'clock, that would just add some more fun to that area.
I suppose if there's a specific band or whatever, we might need to adjust for that. I'm thinking if we have flashing red, white, and blue lights, but, booster days, if there's a band that might enter, because they bring in lights and stuff
Yeah.
like that, so. That's right. Only if the mayor approves. Well, maybe we could take one step back and, I'm all for approving this, but as far as that idea of the scheduling or the colors or, which means what event the city's gonna stand behind and sponsor, maybe we could work together, come up with almost a calendar based on, Christmas, 4th of July, whatever.
It sounds like we need a lighting czar.
Yes, that is exactly what I'm proposing.
Yeah.
Nominate, no. But I think that's important because, it might go too far one direction. If you're not comfortable with just one person, maybe since it's a park building, maybe it comes here first.
But we're raising the funds for it to do it too, so I think it needs
That's
to
why
be a
it's work with you
partnership.
guys and then,
Yes.
and then,
It
go
seems
through
to me
here
the
for approval.
recommendations would come from
Right,
the
that's- I
chamber.
guess
The
that's-
chamber, right,
Yeah,
yeah.
Knowing what
recommendations
the activities
Working with
are.
you, that's what I
Right.
meant.
to the Chamber of
Not
Commerce.
me.
yeah.
But almost like a calendar. Here's the next 12 months.
Yes.
Here's what we're thinking.
Yeah, because whatever chamber events are planned, the chamber would say, we would prefer these lights, these colors, and if it's a city,
dates
and if it's a
yeah.
city event, then the city can say, well, we would like these
Yeah.
lights at this point.
And there might be times when it is just white lights or cool white or something,
Right.
but just something, and sometimes, I don't know, Mr. Moraz might not, you cannot always have too much light down in the park when it's late at night. So sometimes that, having some more light down there can be a good thing.
It seems from this discussion that there could be many voices into what activity, what time of year, and whatever, and to run that maybe through one person, like the mayor, for final approval. It's not that the decision is just
The mayor and-
fermented
I don't
with
know.
them,
Somehow the
but,
mayor doesn't seem
for a
like the
final
right-
approval
Mayor doesn't seem
through
like the
one
right person to me
individual.
either.
Then that simplifies it.
I think what maybe I would recommend is the city and the chamber would sit down and create a schedule based on the calendar year, just so we have a general framework of what it's gonna be.
I agree.
Any deviations from that schedule would be run through a certain person.
Right,
Right.
I agree,
I think that, yeah.
especially if it's
That makes sense.
being funded by the chamber, they're
Yes.
being funded by the chamber for us. And I think an equal voice from the chamber and the city is a fair
Right,
accommodation.
right.
Agree.
So what,
Yeah, when we,
with that bit of information is if the park board feels comfortable with the idea of the lights on the band shelf, first and foremost, in partnering with the chamber, I think we would approve that here tonight. And then for the purposes of the common council meeting, we might need to sit down prior to that meeting between, city staff and the chamber and hammer out something. So maybe it wouldn't be until maybe that second week in August, before it goes to them for final approval, if that sounds fair to you, Mary Claire.
all right, with those caveats, do I have a motion?
I'll move to approve.
Second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign? Moved, seconded, and approved.
Thank you so much for your support, and like I said, I will be back. Hopefully, we can continue our partnership with the Lights in the Park for our 5th annual. Last year, we had 350,000. I'd like to add a few more, and I know that you went down with Save a Tree to look at some power opportunities to see if there's there, so that's great. And then also, thank you so much for your support of the Lakefront Heritage Project. I hope you've had a chance to walk down Lakefront Park and see some of the 24 new banners that are up. And we've only received positive comments, and we're looking forward to doing an audio piece with that too. So thank you for your continued support.
Thank you, Mary, and looking forward to seeing you again. Okay. So next on our agenda is the Williams Parks restrooms discussion.
Yep, so after our discussion with Brian Hines from Studio EA, they put together a preliminary design for the restroom in Williams Park, which was in your packet. And basically, they kind of took our words and put it into a drawing. And it is 2 unisex restrooms with a mechanical room in the middle, water fountain on the outside. It gives you kind of a concept of what it would look like with the coloring, so on and so forth. And so bringing it forward to you, just for general review and discussion. If you want to see anything change, now is the time to say something. Because if it's approved here, it will go forward to Common Council for final approval and authorization to bid. So with that being said, does everybody have a chance to see the diagram? Yeah. Are there any red flags or anything that you see at this point in time that you want to bring forward?
The prefab, they're identical.
Yes.
I recently was up in Amory, Wisconsin, where they did the restroom very much the same way, and it was a prefab structure, and as I look at it, it looks almost identical.
Sure.
And we should look at the cost of a prefab, where what they did there, they poured the pad with the plumbing, literally came in, set it on, and it was done. So if the cost and quality is the same, but there are dollars to be saved on that, it's worth looking into that.
I think when we get into assessing cost, maybe that's the time where we look at whether there's a better option. But I think this is a really nice plan.
I agree.
Okay.
I think maybe if we have to redo another one at a future time, then we look into a different option. But this one is, I don't see it being much difference in price from what I heard in the past of other prefab versus built, I don't, what word I want looking for, but non-prefab buildings.
I think we talked about too, kind of creating a consistency, as, you know, that maybe this is our 2-bathroom unit, that when we have a new park or whatever, that.
This is what
you know,
goes
this
in.
is what it is.
Right.
Yeah, because it's nice looking, so.
So this is the prefab that
Oh, yeah.
I think this one's.
Thank you. I just
I have
think,
one quick question, Mike.
Yeah.
So dimension-wise, the janitor closet or whatever we're gonna call it?
Yep.
Is nicely sized.
Yeah.
Is that a standard thing? Is that a,
So it's 6 feet wide, right? By about 10 feet.
yeah,
6 by 10. You know, that's general. I mean, we keep our, mops. We have a shelving
storage, okay,
shelving
yeah.
for all of our chemicals and toilet paper and paper. It fills up
fills up
fast.
quick.
It
Yep.
fills, yeah, it looks big on paper, but it fills up fast.
yeah. No, I like what it looks like, yeah. And the position of it, or, the placement was good too. So you need a motion for,
So I'll move to take bids.
Just a motion to approve the design.
Okay, the motion to approve the design, would that include taking bids as well?
Nope, that's
Just approve the
that's
design.
council's
Okay, so
responsibility.
do I have a motion to approve this design for the restrooms?
I'll make a motion
in
to
the park?
approve.
And a second?
I'll second.
So it's been moved and seconded. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. Motion moved, seconded, and approved.
right, and then the last thing that I have on our agenda tonight is just a brief project update. We had a anonymous donor that donated $5,000 to be put towards new basketball standards up at Anderson Park.
Oh, nice.
Which is awesome because they are on their last leg, to say the least. And so actually have already ordered the basketball standards. They're going to be black, powder-coated material with new backboard, new hoop, new installation, so on and so forth. They're being delivered tomorrow. And so city staff will work on getting them installed here over the next couple of weeks for some enjoyment this fall. So, yeah, thank you very much for that donation.
I have a question. I saw on the Facebook, somebody had commented, I can't even remember where I saw it, but someone had commented they were up at Berkmos, and they were concerned about the mounds being overgrown. Have you already aware of that?
I had a
Okay.
gentleman reach out to me about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and I forwarded that on to city staff, and they'll go and take care of it.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely. But I know in the past they did we burn them previous to me being here?
Well, they
Did we get pushback
trimmed
for
them
it?
down, and then they had some wild plantings. The Boy Scouts, I believe, did
Okay.
it years and back.
Yeah.
And they did it, and then we put the fencing up around it. But
Right.
as far as the maintenance, it never was weeded.
I mean, because we've mowed over it in the past, or,
Yeah,
and
mowed
then,
over it,
and
yeah.
now is it kind of since it is fenced off, is it kind of a wild growth now, or
Yeah, it's
what's?
supposed to
It
be,
should have been.
yeah.
Okay,
Because I know,
It's
speaking with
wild growth now.
Right.
the supervisors, when we did go up there and mow and maintain it, that we did get pushback because we were on the mounds mowing and maintaining them. you know,
Right.
So it's kind of a catch-22.
Right.
Is there a standard that the state or whatever group would give us, and what other people do? Or maybe it's the same thing?
That might be
Some
the-
are mowing them, some are doing
I
nothing.
think, yes, I think you're correct.
So there may not be
I don't think
direction
there's,
from-
yeah.
The problem is there's large trees growing on them now.
Right, there's a big, yeah, one of the pictures is a pretty good size,
Yeah, we'll get that taken care of.
yeah, so.
But that would be worthwhile maybe for me to look into, is just is there a standard, what
Yeah.
can and can't we do, so on and so
Right.
forth. So we want to keep them looking nice. We don't want
Right.
to go to thistle either, so.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay, thank you.
yep.
I just want to say,
Oh.
that Prospect Park stuff looks beautiful.
Yes,
It really looks beautiful. I was going to ask you about the gardens up there. It looks like at one time there were gardens
yes,
that are not being maintained.
yes.
I was just thinking if I approached the Hudson Garden Club, if they might help in some way. I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't know if you don't have a budget for garden up there or what the situation is. Or no maintenance?
Budget is tight. We do have a gardener on staff that does like the rose bushes and things like that in
Yeah.
Lakefront Park. She does go up there from time to time when she's available to go and weed it a little bit, but like you said, it's not a high priority on our list right now.
Yeah.
But if you do want to make a connection or have them reach
Okay.
out to me.
I know some members. I'm not a member myself, but I could reach out and see if they'd like to do
Yeah.
a volunteer project of some
To
kind.
beautify that area, yeah, that'd be
Yeah.
Yeah,
fantastic.
that might be nice.
They've done like different grants that would come in, you know, they would do
Yeah,
like
that's
a
right.
couple $100 and they put into it. That site has just kind of stayed like more shrubbery.
Yeah.
Real low maintenance because we just
Yes.
don't have the staff, so.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Mike, can you give us an update then on the Prospect Park?
Yeah, so just basically, just a quick update on the Prospect Park project. The concrete has been completed. City staff will be pouring a ramp access. If you go up there right now, there's kind of a 2-inch lip from the new sidewalk down to the parking lot. We'll be doing that internally. Our concrete man is back from vacation here later this week, and it's on his list to get done. But then when that's completed, they're gonna move some of the rocks back around so that vehicles can drive out onto the point. It's seeded, it's matted. We'll, like I said, try to clean up the garden area and get it cleaned up, and it'll be a nice addition.
might be
It
a
turned out
Boy
really,
Scout
really nice.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Went up there with
That might
friends
be a
and
good Eagle Scout
got
project.
comments from guests that we had.
Good.
Absolutely.
I don't either. But I'm just thinking of,
Fred, do you have a comment? You're recognized.
That was being done behind the Dairy Queen and next to the Nova, going into that rock hillside. You know, there used to be a trail coming down from Berkmos Park that ended right in that area. And now it's a steep lake that's, not usable or not climbable or anything like that. I was just curious if the city, made sure that that was on their land and not city land, part of the Berkmos and all that kind of stuff, and,
We were aware of what was going on there. Yeah. Yep. Yep.
But there was an old trail there once upon a time.
Yeah.
49 years ago, I skied down that path.
Well, me too. It stopped that back in the day. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's all I got.
All right. Any other comments?
Move to adjourn?
Second.
Been moved second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Meeting's adjourned.
Thank you.
Thank all of you. Thank you.